Hey, math friends. So our learning target today is I can review everything in Unit 3 on equations in preparation for your test. So the first learning target is, so the entire test, I should say, is on equations. The first learning target is asking us to simplify expressions using the distributive property. So the idea of that we need to kill, quote unquote, the parenthesis. How do we kill it when there's an x stuck on the inside? So that's why we use the distributive property. So we're going to take the number on the outside and multiply it to each term on the inside. So that would be 28 plus 4 times 12 is 48. Reattach the x. Now these are unlike terms, so we're done because you can't combine 28 and 48x. But we did kill the parenthesis. But that is as far as we can go. Next problem. To kill the parenthesis, we distribute. Multiply is -6. Reattach the x. Multiply is positive 21. These are unlike terms, so you can't combine. So the final answer there would be -6x plus 21. Next problem, you need to recognize in this problem that this is actually a -1 sitting on the outside. At any time, by the way, just pause the video if it's going too fast. If you don't have these written down, then make sure you pause it, write them down, and make sure you're solving as we go. Try some on your own. Distribute, kill that parenthesis, -2. Multiply here is -1 times +5 is -5. Reattach x. So there's the answer because we cannot simplify that. You can also rearrange the order using the commutative property. These are the same, these two things are the same answer. All right, next problem. Distribute. Now I'm going to cover this problem even though it won't be on the test, but I'll still cover it just because it's good math, talking distributive property. So the coefficient here would be 1 in front of each term. So when we distribute, we get 1, and then x times x actually changes the dimension there, becomes x squared. Again, not on this test, but just good math anyway. And then 1 times 8 is 8, and this is a little bit different in this problem. That x has to go with us. Whoa, I shouldn't have done that. The x goes with us. So we multiply the numbers, and then we drag the x with. So take a peek at that. And I'm going to just turn that 1 out front into a box because we don't need the 1 as the coefficient there. So x squared plus 8x. Again, not on your test, but just good math to talk about. Next problem, the goal is to kill this parenthesis first. So this 9 minus is going to have to wait. First, that's going to have to wait. So as we distribute, we multiply through, gives us -6. We multiply here, gives us -8. We reattach the x. So we get -6 minus 8x. Now, if we haven't used it, drag it down is 9 minus that quantity. Next step is to combine like terms. So any like terms we want to combine. So 9 minus 6 is 3. Subtract 8x. Unlike terms. Oh, this is supposed to be an x. Unlike terms. So 3 minus 8x, we cannot simplify after that. Next problem. First set of parentheses, we have 5 times 2 is 10. Reattach x. Distribute 5 times -5 is -25. Work on distributing to that back parenthesis, recognizing that this is a 1 sitting out here, so that's a -1 is -10. Running out of space, so I have to start it on the next line. -1 times positive, nope, I misspoke. -1 times -4. Negative times negative is +4x. Now, combining like terms. So I'm going to combine anything that has x in it, that term and that term. Combine like terms. So that gives me 14x's. And then combine the constants. Those two together gives us -35. So we get 14x minus 35, any order. That's how we use the distributive property and combine like terms. Yay! Now this next section is called factors. So it's basically what we're going to do. You're going to undo the distributive property. This is not actually a Minnesota State standard for this grade level, so I'm not going to talk about that right now in this video for that reason. Still good math, but just not going to happen on this video. Question 11 asks us to solve the equation, combine like terms, and use the distributive property. Now notice, you'll notice in this that they're not always going to be nice integer answers. We might have some rational numbers, some fractions, decimals, things like that. Although integers are rational numbers. But first step is to kill the parenthesis. Okay, that's not going to work. So I'm going to undo that. So we distribute here as 3 times 1 is 3, reattach x. We distribute here as positive 12. If I haven't used it, drag it down, and then drag it down, Step 1. Step 2 is combine any like terms if you can. So 3x and 5x gives me, boom, 8x plus 12 equals 22. 8x plus 12 gives me 22. Build house, build fence, clean yard, clean yard. So we're going to subtract 12, copy, paste, copy, paste. So we end up with 8x equals 10. Next step then would be divide by 8, copy, paste, copy, paste. This is supposed to be an 8. Let me rewrite that in a different color so we can clearly see that that is an 8. So we get x equals, and I'm going to simplify that by dividing top and bottom by 2. So x gives us 5/4, which is the same as 1.25. So I believe that this is our answer. 5/4 or 1.25. So the next step then would be to do the check step, where we plug it back in. All right. So as we check here, we would have 3 times 1.25 plus 4 is the first term, plus 5 times 1.25. The question is, does that equal 22? So we're going to plug all of that stuff in our calculator. So I'm going to highlight the stuff we're talking about, all of this stuff. The question is, does that equal 22? So using my calculator then, you're definitely able to use your calculator when you're doing the check step, just to verify that you do indeed have the correct answer. And sure enough, I get 22 when I plug it in. Make sure you are doing that, by the way. So the correct answer then for the x value, x is equal to then 5/4, which is the same as 1.25. We could also have written that as a mixed number, 1 and 1/4. So that's how we solve using distributive property, combine like terms into a two-step equation. Same plan down here. So if you need to pause the video at any time to write down the problem, or you want to try solving again, make sure you're doing that. All right, so the first step is first of all, I'm going to identify that I have a coefficient of 1 sitting here. That's going to probably be helpful for me to see. And that this right here is going to have to wait. So the distributive property kicks in. I multiply here is -6. I multiply here is +3. Reattach the x. If I haven't used it, drag it down, All of that is equal to -30. Combine like terms. So we're going to combine these terms. So we end up with -6 plus 12x is equal to -30. Next step is to build house, build fence, clean yard, So we're going to add 6, copy, paste, copy, paste. If I haven't used it, drag it down, And then we're going to divide by 12, copy, paste, copy, paste. So we get x is equal to -24 divided by 12 is -2. Again, this is a review, so it's covering a lot of stuff. So just pause it if it's going too fast. Rewind it, watch it again, millions of times until you have it down, mastered, and feeling good. Plugging back in then, we have -3, 2 minus, be careful there, 2 minus -2, plus 9 times -2. The question is, does that equal -30? So using my calculator to substitute that back in, we have -3 times the quantity of 2 minus u, -2, That's yucky looking. Plus 9 times negative 2. Does that equal negative 30? And sure enough, it does. Yes, indeed. So this is checking out for me. Yay, yay, yay. Which means that x equals negative 2 is the solution to that equation. Next problems. The next problem has to do with some decimals. So we're going to go ahead and work through decimals. You probably want to grab your calculator if you haven't been using one so far. All right, so build house, build fence, clean yard, or the hand method. There's lots of ways that I talk about solving that. So first we're going to undo. We're going to add 10.28, copy, paste to both sides. Boom, that's your first step. Do it, do it, do it, do it. If I haven't used it, drag it down, drag it down. And the right-hand side, then, I'm going to just type that in my calculator. That's a little ugly there with the decimals and the negative and all that business. So I'm just going to use my calculator here. Is negative 22.12. Check it out. So when I type this in my calculator, that's what I got. Isolating for the variable t, we build house. Or you can think about that, we're going to just undo using hand method. We're going to multiply nice and high, copy, paste to both sides. Both sides. These cancel, which gives me t is equal to negative something. So I'm going to type that in my calculator. Negative 22.12 times 4.3 gives me negative 95.1, and then I have to round to the hundredths. So that's 1/6, which really is a 2 then. And since I rounded it, I'm going to change these to approximately equal, so some squiggly lines, because it's no longer perfection anymore. So I believe that the correct answer is that the t value is equal to negative 95.12. Plugging in. So negative 95.12 divide by 4.3 minus 10.28. I'm doing it kind of in a weird order because I'm going back to check this step just because I'm out of space. Does that equal negative 32.4? So I'm going to substitute in my calculator. It may not be perfect. And indeed, I did get something very close. I got negative 32.40. There's some other digits there, but close enough because when we round, we lose that perfection. So we do know that this is the correct answer. Approximately equal to negative 95.12. Boom. Same learning target. Solve an equation with decimals. So we're going to isolate the variable. This is going to have to wait because it's not in the parenthesis. We're going to distribute here and there. I think I'm going to use my calculator again on that. So negative 3 times 0.4 is negative 1.2 reattach x. Please pause the video when you get stuck. Next step then, negative 3 times positive 5, as I already wrote, is negative 15. If I haven't used it, drag it down, boom, 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 boom. If I haven't used it, drag it down, boom. Combine like terms is the next step. So we're going to combine any x's together, any constants together on the same side. Right, all right. So we have negative 1.2 plus 9.2 gives us 8. Ooh, that's nice. 8x minus 15 is equal to 17.5. Cool. Do it. Isolating then, the hand method kicks in, or build house, build fence, or any of those strategies that we've talked about. To move the subtract 15 over, we're going to add, because undo, called inverse. If I haven't used it, drag it down. And we end up with what? 32.5 sitting over here on that side. Double checking that I added that in my head right. Ah! Next up then would be to divide by 8, copy, paste. So we get x is equal to 4.06. We rounded to the nearest hundredth here, so I'm going to make these into approximately equal. 4.06. For the check step, I'm going to plug 4.06, which I believe to be approximately the answer, into the equation for x up here and there. I don't have enough space, really. I guess I could do it. I could do it. I'm going to do it in steps so that we have first -3 times, I'm not going to have enough room, 0.4, I'm not going to have enough room. So what I was trying to say, and I'm just going to simply run out of room here on the page, but I'm going to plug it in for both of those x's in my calculator and verify that that's the correct answer. So -3 times the quantity of 0.4 times our answer plus 5 in the first parenthesis plus 9 times what we think is our answer. Does that equal something close to 17.5? And I got something pretty close, but I'm going to pause the video and make sure that I didn't make a mistake somewhere. All right, so unpausing the video, I just wanted to verify that I didn't make any mistakes. When I plugged those in, I was supposed to get 17.5, and I got 17.48, which makes me pretty comfortable. Of course, those aren't exactly equal to each other, but they are approximately equal to. And I rounded this. This actually was 4.0625. And the minute I round this, the minute I round it, I lose that accuracy. I lose that perfection. So I'm okay with this 17.48. It's pretty close to 17.5 or 17.50. Whew. All right, so 4.06 was approximately the last answer there. All right, question 15. Now we're going to solve using fractions. We've talked about kill denominator first, which is a great strategy. Now I don't know that we need that for this one right out of the gate because it's just it just has one fraction in it. You could do it. I just don't think it's necessary on this particular problem because we're going to add 5 right away. Again, if you need to pause the video to write stuff down, please do that. So I just don't think I have to kill it right out of the gate here. And then I'm going to drag down this 4/7 x. The 5 is gone. I'm going to do this in 2 steps. I'm going to kill that 7 first. Copy, paste, copy, paste. So that gives me 4x. The 7 now is dead through multiplication, nice and high. Copy, paste, copy, paste. When I multiply 7 times 16, I end up with 112. Now this turns into a nice little one-step problem. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Copy, paste, copy, paste. And we get x is equal to 28. So for my check step then, I'm going to plug 28 in for the x value. So is it true that 11 is equal to 4/7 times 28 minus 5? Is that true that the left side equals the right side? So we get 11 is equal to, and you can throw that in your calculator. When you type 4/7, by the way, into your calculator, when you type that in your calculator, it's just 4 divided by 7. That's all it is. I'm going to do it right now. 4 divided by 7 times 28. Be careful on that when you use, make sure to put a parenthesis. I just thought of that. Make sure you maybe use a parenthesis around that because that's a term, 4/7. Times 28 minus 5, and make sure that the left side does equal the right side, and I got it. It did. But I would maybe use a parenthesis around that when you type it in, 4 divided by 7. Sweet. So we know that the x value is equal to 28. X equals 28. Awesome. So that's our first problem with some fractions in it. Okay, we're going to try a couple more with some fractions in it. All right, this problem here, I could use the distributive property right away, but another thing that we could do, and I don't think I talked about this a ton in the other videos, but I'm going to show you in this one, is we could actually divide by this term right away because it's just a quantity sitting out front. So we end up getting 2/3 x minus 2. Ooh, I like how that happened. Good. That's just an option. You can distribute it if you want, but you can divide it off as well. Just keeping that balance there. So we're going to add 2, copy, paste, copy, paste. So we get 2/3 x equals 3. So I'm going to multiply nice and high, copy, paste, and I'll make sure we check it at the end to verify that that strategy I just used would work. But you also can use that kill denominator strategy. All right, so we end up with 2x equals 9. So we divide by 2, copy, paste, copy, paste. So we get x is equal to 4.5 or 4.5. So using that check step then, I'm going to pause the video, give you some time to catch up. All right, hopefully you had enough time to catch up. So we believe that the correct answer is 4.5, and I used a little different strategy out front there. You could have, as I stated, could have done other strategy. So when we plug that in, then we have 4, the check step would be that we have 4 times 2/3 times 4.5 minus 2 in the parenthesis. And we need to know, does that equal, when you plug that in, does that all of that equal 4? Now, just like we talked about, if you're putting a fraction in your calculator, you might want to throw that around a parenthesis around that just to kind of keep it in the same group so your calculator doesn't confuse. So type that in, verify. And yes, indeed, that does work out. I worked ahead on that, but just so you know. And you could also look down at the bottom of the page. That was question 16 that we said that the answer should be 4.5. So this is on your review. Yay! All right, 2 left. So what about a variable? Have problems that have variables on both sides? Coolio. Nothing to do on the left side because we can't really combine anything there. There's no parenthesis to kill or anything. But on the right side, we use the distributive property. So distribute. I'm going to rewrite the left side. Cool. And then we're going to identify those are our x's. We want to move the smallest one first. So we're going to add 2x, copy, paste the entire term we want to move first. Smallest term goes. Not the law, not a math law, but just kind of the general rule of thumb that we use at our school. Just to keep us all on the same page. We have 8x plus 12 here. Cool. Trying to isolate for 8x, we're going to subtract 2. Copy, paste, boom, boom, boom. So we end up with, if I haven't used it, drag it down, we get 8x equals, what we get here? Minus 6, cool. Division kicks in, we divide by 8 because we're trying to isolate for x. And negative 6/8 equals lots of things. So it equals negative, we could divide top and bottom by 2, gives us negative 3/4. You also could use negative 0.75 or like negative 75 cents. Both of those are great answers. Let's go to our check step and verify. Let's be the verify team up here. I'm going to probably keep it as a decimal, just probably a little bit easier to type in my calculator here. The question is, does that equal the right side? This is a little different on the check here. So we're going to take 3 times the quantity of 2 times negative 0.75. Add 4. The big whopper question here is, are they equal to each other? Do the left equal the right? So I'm going to plug that in my calculator. Coolio. 6 minus 2 times negative 0.75. Make sure I type that in right. So when I type this in, I got 7.5. You should be doing the same because this is your journey, your learning, right? Your future. Pause that video if it goes too fast. I get that it goes fast, but you just need to push pause. Boom. And when I type in this side, I also got 7.5. Coolio. So we know absolutely for sure, I lost the x down here somewhere, that x is equal to negative 6/8. The better answer for that is negative 3/4. And then the decimal answer to that is negative 0.75. Boom. Last problem of the day, last problem for preparation for your test. This negative 6/8 is not in lowest terms, so you maybe want to skip. You want to maybe, I shouldn't have highlighted that. Probably. Last problem. Boom. Here we go. Combine like terms if we can, distribute if we need to. This is going to have to wait. So first step I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute here. And then remember there's like a 1 sitting there. So that gives us negative 5x distribute plus 20. If I haven't used it, drag it down, drag it down. On the right-hand side, distribute is 16. Reattach x. Distribute is minus 40. Combine like terms then. So we have 3 plus 20. Those are our constants. They don't have variables, so we call those constants in math. We have 23 minus 5x, cool, equals 16x minus 40. Cool. Now, we have a variable term on both sides, so smallest variable term goes. We have a negative 5x, and we have a positive 16x. The smallest one goes first. We're going to add 5x, copy, paste, copy, paste. So we get 23 is equal to 21x minus 40. We're going to add 40, copy, paste, copy, paste. Whoops, this is supposed to be an add, not a divide. Out of room here. This is not the check yet, but so that gives me 63. That's not a division sign. I just struggled with my pen there. 21x. Last step in solving this, then we divide both sides by 21. Copy, paste, copy, paste. So we get x is equal to 3. We believe the x value equals 3. So I'm going to highlight that. And I am completely, totally out of room here to do my checking. So I'm going to plug it in here, and I'm going to plug it in there and see what happens. Make sure that the left side equals the right side. So verify. We're the verify team right now. Come on. Do it. This is your future. So I have 3 minus 5 times 3 minus 4. I'm getting 8 on the left side when I check into there. And then up on top there where I drew those green lines, 8 times 2 times 3 minus 5, equals 8. So boom, we know that the left side equals the right side. So y'all, that is the review for Unit 3 on equations. It covers every kind of equation, a one-step, a two-step, a multi-step, with fractions, decimals, and everything, distributed property, combined like terms. So make sure you're ready for that test. Have a glorious night.